Soldier boy, tell.
Uh-oh. What? Something's not right. That was weird. What's going on, y'all? You already know what time it is. Welcome to the Fantasy Football Garage. I'm Chris, the Candy Man. Thanks for chilling tonight. Thanks for making it out to the stream. Say what's up in the chat. I was trying to sneak in and get this draft started by the time the stream introed, but whoops. What up, Dale? What up, Tyler? Kicking off on a Monday evening, getting into a Best Ball Mania draft. Honestly, one more spot to fill. So if you're watching and you want to get in on a PBM5, be my guest. Let's see what's going on in this room. It's about to start. This will be Best Ball Mania 5, draft number 34 for me. And I'm in the one spot. Look at that. It's the Streamer 101. Okay. Say what's up if you're in this draft with me. I don't think I've ever taken a receiver at the 101 all off season. Just CMC every time. And I think I'm going to stick with that plan for now. I'm a big fan of both Tyreek Hill and CeeDee Lamb, so I don't really mind drafting out of any of the first three spots. I think between Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, it's kind of a toss-up pick. All right, let's get this thing started. And we're cruising. Dale did his 7th one today. That's what's up. I'm still planning to go pretty hard in August, so I'm pacing myself now. Tonight's stream is going to be a Best Ball Mania 5, and then most likely a Poodle. Just a real chill Poodle draft. I did 2 earlier today. Trying to get a few more in. I don't want to be forced to just enter the rest in slows to max it out. I'd rather really fill them up with fast, but the tournament's been open for 2.5 days, and it's like over 70% filled. Dale, who'd you draft in Best Ball Mania today? Which pick did you start off with? What kind of team did you build out? I feel like I didn't get to see a ton of updates on Twitter today of what was going on from all the different organized activities. I saw 32 beat writers retweeting and quote tweeting a lot of different things at the very last minute before I went live. I was kind of checking in, but I'm not 100% sure, kind of what's going on a Monday around the league right now. Let me know if you heard any intel I should take note of for this draft. Yeah, pick 6, that's a good spot to pick out of. It's right in the middle of the board. You get 2 really solid picks in the first 2 rounds. And then in the third round, you can pretty much take whoever you want. I think Garrett Wilson in the first round is just a little too rich for my liking. I definitely would take 3 or 4 other receivers before him 90% of the time. What are the odds that the Jets offense can support Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson both going in the first round? How many other teams around the league have 2 players going in the first round? You think the Jets is good enough to be one of them? I'd like to think that Garrett Wilson should be going behind Drake London, Olave, potentially, but definitely Nico Collins, Devontae Adams. Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Chris Olave, that's a nice little group there, and then throw Marvin Harrison in that. That's kind of its own little tier to me, and I'd put those guys just behind Nico and Devontae. Brandon Ayuk's another player that I would take probably ahead of that little grouping. But I don't want to completely miss out on those players either, so I'll still draft them occasionally. Just, I know I'm going to be underexposed. I don't think Drake London is that crazy of a pick at the beginning of the second. I don't think he was that overpriced. So I'm willing to take him. I've taken a lot of Drake London and Kirk Cousins teams. But even during the big board, Drake London was going much later in the third round. You could have got him for a much better price. So just because he's risen around, I think it's still a good upside pick and a player that could really break out, end up being a top 5 receiver kind of ceiling outcome. So I'm back up with my second and third picks. I like Neighbors here. I like Devonta Smith. Probably don't need Kyron with McCaffrey. Could go Achane. I definitely want Neighbors. I just need to think about Devonta Smith there. I do like Devonta Smith a lot in the third round. What are the odds that I get Jalen Hurts to come back? Let's see. I was thinking Achane there. I'm going to go with a little bit of a different start. I don't know that I've started CMC, Malik Neighbors, Devonta Smith. And I was looking at my exposures. I'm pretty sure I've done probably, I think just maybe 2 spots, drafts so far out of the 101 spot. So I probably should go through my my exposure, or go through my previous teams I've gotten marked and see what my other CMC Best Ball Mania teams have looked like so far. Try to build something maybe a little bit different, get more unique with my builds. Took Josh Allen in the third round, says Dale. Josh Allen's not a bad click. That's a bummer though. Yeah, I've definitely done that. You misclick and you take a guy either a round early or 2 rounds early because you had him queued up, or you just take completely the wrong player. And that's pretty frustrating the earlier in the draft it is. DK goes to the guy in the 7th spot this time. Achane makes it all the way to pick 30. But Cooper Kupp and Kyron Williams go back-to-back after I took Devonta Smith in the 3rd round. I think Cooper Kupp and Kyron Williams, to me, Derrick Henry, those are 3 picks that I really like. And you can usually get them in the back of the 3rd round. So we see them go a little bit earlier here in this board. Laporta's off, number 1 tight end off the board, back into the 3rd round. Dale says he does all of his drafts on his phone. I think I still do probably the majority of the drafts on my phone, but I prefer to do it on my desktop. It's just way easier to see everything, but the convenience of the phone, I definitely get that. There's nothing like, being able to draft from anywhere is pretty sweet. Speaking of, I've been lacking on my cardio club drafts this week. I haven't done one in the last couple days. Josh Allen, second to last pick in the third round. I think he's a solid click. You really can't go wrong with Josh Allen. You're always going to feel good. The trouble is building out the right team around him and getting lucky that you might get a Dalton Kincaid to fall to you after you take Josh Allen. Otherwise, you really have to reach for him and take him with one of the earliest picks in the fourth round. So, drafter in the 11th spot here, he's taking Tank Dell with his Josh Allen in the third round. I think it's a good setup. Jalen Hurts goes to the A.J. Brown drafter. Pretty much predicted that. I think that should happen. I think Jalen Hurts makes it back to the 412 pick like 10% of the time, or if you just get really lucky in a room, but he really shouldn't make it the back there. And the other drafter who can really gatekeep a falling Jalen Hurts is the drafter in the 2 spot, who could line him up with CeeDee Lamb and say they don't want to wait around for Dak Prescott later. But honestly, Dak Prescott has such a wide range of ADP value, or ADPs, where you can his ADP, it's like goes so far above and below. You see him going in the 70s. You'll see him going well past pick 99. What I'm trying to say there, but looks like Amari Cooper's off the board. George Pickens. I've got a few wide receivers that I still like that I could go with my 4th and 5th overall picks. And I have an opportunity to get an elite tight end here. I might take it. We'll see what falls. Yeah, stacking Bills. Dale says he had to stack the Bills when he drafted and misclicked on Josh Allen. But stacking the Bills can be difficult. It was a little bit easier, I felt like, on the during the big board drafts. But then Steph Diggs goes to the Texans. You have Curtis Samuel in the mix. McLaurin's the guy I want here. I also like Mark Andrews. Pacheco I like a lot, but I don't know that I need another running back just yet with McCaffrey. I feel pretty good there. I'd much rather go with McLaurin, get my wide receiver 3 for too much longer. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm also going to take... I think I'm going to take Mark Andrews. I'm just wondering if at pick 72, there's a chance Kittle is there. I'm going to push it and hope Kittle comes back. Take Pacheco here and start feeling really strong at both running back and wide receiver through my first 5 picks. Pacheco's a guy I was definitely drafting a lot of Pacheco last year, and I want to get my exposure up to him. So getting him past ADP here, I think it's a pretty good pick. It's always weird to take Pacheco ahead of Mahomes or Xavier Worthy even. I mean, I like all 3 of those players at value, or at right at their ADP, or if you can make it work around the turn. Like, I took McLaurin there. I definitely could have taken Mahomes and Pacheco, or I could have gone Mahomes and Worthy. I didn't want to commit this early to Patrick Mahomes necessarily, and then honestly could have been a good pick. It might have been a little bit harder for me at wide receiver than if I didn't take Terry. And anytime you already don't have Kelsey, it doesn't feel like the best Patrick Mahomes click. We'll see. There's also a chance Brock Purdy just keeps falling, and I can push him down the board if I can get Kittle with my next pick, which it doesn't seem like there's a great chance that'll work out for me, but there's maybe like a 30% chance we get Kittle on the way back, and then I've got a fight for Purdy from the Ayuk and the Devo drafter. So let's flip over to the board. We're a few picks after mine. James Cook, Dalton Kincaid. So two Bills go back to back. Hollywood Brown and Keenan Allen. I prefer Terry McLaurin to both of those players this season. I've never been totally sold on Hollywood Brown being on the Chiefs offense this year. You'd say, like, how much better can it get? But he's been playing with Kyler Murray. He's been playing with Lamar Jackson. Yes, Patrick Mahomes is going to have a lot more passing volume than those quarterbacks, but it's also about how integral of a part of an offense he becomes. And I don't know that he's made himself irreplaceable in the offenses where he was operating at. Walks into garage. Okay, Banks fixes here. We got to show him the garage. Which scene is it? Oh, it's the first one. Boom. How's that for garage? What's up, Davis? How you doing, my man? Good to see you. Hope you're having a great night. We're kicking off the stream with this Best Ball Mania 5 draft. It's my 34th BBM fired off this season. And I got lucky. I got the 101. So started off with McCaffrey, Neighbors, Smith, McLaurin. Gives me a nice little wide receiver base there. Grabbed Isaiah Pacheco. Not a bad start. Dale says he took Kincaid, Samuel, and Shakir. Hey, I like that. That's not a misclick then. You stumbled into a really great build around Josh Allen, Kincaid, and Curtis Samuel. I honestly like that just as much or more than getting Keon Coleman. I think he did that one. I think he did that the right way. Yeah, just out here vibing, man. Getting through some drafts. Seems like the Poodle's going to close well before I have a chance to max it, unless I just fill the rest with slows, which I'm very reluctant to do. They take so long. I just want to get the fast drafts in, but somehow the Poodle's going to close within 3-4 days of opening. There's a lot of excitement for it. I'm not that surprised. The moment of truth. There are, let's count it, how many drafters between me and the next pick who also don't have a tight end. There's the guy in the 7th spot with Bijan. The guy in the 5 spot, Amon-Ra. There's 3 drafters and then Jamar Chase team. There's a pretty good chance one of them is going to take Kittle before me. And I've got some backup plans. I really honestly like ending up with where you get to with pick 6 and 7 from the 101 drafting spot. You really can't go wrong. There's going to be so many players available there, running backs, the end of the receivers, even the rookie wide receivers. And if you get really lucky, you could take that elite tight end with your 6th or 7th pick if he makes it there. Not egregious to go back to back Brian Thomas Jr. and Evan Ingram, and that just gives you one more path to victory. You know what I'm saying? Called it on this one. I knew that would be the guy who's gonna take Kittle, pair him up with Amon-Ra. That's a pretty solid start. I like his team too. So backup plan. We're gonna see what's gonna fall to the 6-7 turn. Drafting a few picks. David says he's been doing some research. Hopefully you get to share some thoughts in the future. Hell yeah, man. Let me know when you're pushing that research out. I want to be the first to read it. Okay, Hopkins, not a bad pick. Keon Coleman, probably a bad pick. David Montgomery, probably a bad pick on this team. Was it Brian Thomas? It must have been Brian Thomas. Okay, Brian Thomas went 2 picks before me, and Addison. I'm cool with Hopkins. And the question is, do I want to take Evan Ingram here, or do I want to wait for Brock Bowers? With my next pick, we could take both, right? I could still take both. Let's take Evan Ingram here. Sorry, just kidding. Aaron Jones is still on the board. Had a second there where I really had to think through the wide receivers I already had on my team. At the end of the day, even with Isaiah Pacheco and McCaffrey, I really want Aaron Jones upside over taking a tight end. Oh, what was that? Forgot to hit loop on the SoundCloud. That's gonna be a content strike. Yikes.
Soldier boy, tell.
Let's see what's going on with the chat. Let me flip back over. That was an intense moment picking in the corner spot. Spotify goes wild. Yeah, Dale, sounds like you killed that misclick. You recovered from that pretty well if you ended up getting a triple stack with your Josh Allen. I'm jealous of that. I took Josh Allen earlier today in one of the poodles I was double tabling, and it was a mess, but I could only get him paired up with James Cook, yeah, and then I also took a bunch of Jets. I had Corley, Mike Williams, and Braylon Allen, so it ended up being fine. Davis says he's all over the Titans. Ooh, yeah. I could definitely go with some Titans. The only Titan I'm not clicking very often is Calvin Ridley. He goes so early, and I still feel like DeAndre Hopkins is the alpha, the number one receiver anytime he's on an offense. Any offense he's on, like, he's that guy, regardless of the age, and I think he's just... The wheels could fall off, but with my wide receiver 4 pick in the 6th round, pretty insulated. I'm not really worried about it. And I got Aaron Jones. So you can think of it as, either way. I get Aaron Jones as my 6th pick, or I get Hopkins in the 7th. I don't think Hopkins has well, actually, no, I take that back. Hopkins has a pretty decent chance. If you look at the other wide receivers who go in the 6th round, and you're going to say, what's the probability that one of them finishes as the best wide receiver taken in that round? Hopkins would be up there. Addison, I don't think, has the same ceiling. Ryan Thomas is another guy that I would think could do it, or a Doomsday or Lad. Godwin probably is, like, to me, maybe it's just an age thing, but Hopkins has always been a guy I think I'd rather have than Chris Godwin. I like Chris Godwin too. There were some years Chris Godwin was one of those, like, top 3 dynasty wide receivers a few years back, maybe 2021. And then Xavier Worthy's just all gas. Fastest man in the NFL. So there's a chance that he could be that guy in the 6th round. I like that pick too. Pretty with Ayuk, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Demont. Yeah, I'm going to have to worry about that. Because the drafter who took Kittle has Amon-Ra. The one just next to him has Devo. And they're both going to pick before me. But they'd have to really reach for Brock Purdy. I was just taking a quick look at the QBs available. Yeah, 110 is Brock Purdy's current ADP. I don't know. There's a pretty slim chance that he would fall back to me at 120. Quarterbacks going to be a potential option here with my 8th and 9th pick. Brock Bowers is off the board. Huge bummer. Brock Bowers going, he's definitely rising up, going higher and higher on boards. 86 in this one. Goes to the Josh Allen team. The thing is, if I have Josh Allen there, I'm taking either Kyle Pitts or Brock Bowers. I don't think I want both. You only need one of those guys, ceiling play, like weekly scoring, ceiling output, to beat all of the other Josh Allen Kincaid teams. So then taking 2 elite tight ends on a Josh Allen team, and then one of them's not Kincaid, that doesn't really make sense to me. Because the whole point is to beat the Josh Allen teams that have Kincaid, and you can do that with Pitts or Bowers if you get lucky, but not with both. And then maybe make the argument you could take, if you had Kincaid, you could still come back and get like a Bowers. I think that's actually a pretty cool team, because then you're saying, okay, I get there with Josh Allen stacked up with Dalton Kincaid, but in the playoffs maybe Brock Bowers is that guy you need to break through and beat those other Josh Allen teams. I think that makes sense. Coming up on my next pick, I don't want Dak. I like James Conner, but I don't need him on this team. I could have passed on Aaron Jones and taken Conner. It's a bummer they don't take Conner right in front of me. Jaden Daniels is one of the options I'm thinking about here. Tyler Lockett. I'm going to go ahead and take Lockett here, and I'm going to think on a second for Jaden Daniels. Because like I said, I can still go with Purdy. I just don't think he's going to make it all the way back. And then I don't have a ton of other receiver options that I like, that I've built out to this point. A lot of the Falcons skill position players are already gone. Jaden Daniels, take him ahead of Dak Prescott, but it's really more of a team fit. I don't have a way to finish out that Dak build. And the guy who's drafting the 2 spot, he knew that. He could have taken Dak Prescott with his 95th pick. I probably would have taken Jameson Williams over Lockett to get that Week 17 Detroit Lions, San Francisco 49ers game stack from my McCaffrey piece that I've got going. But overall, Lockett's a decent pick there. The only bummer is I like a lot of the running backs you just saw go. I would have taken Mostert, Pollard, or James Conner. And in retrospect, take them at the 8th pick. And then at my 7th pick there, instead of taking Aaron Jones, I could have taken JSN or Deontay. And that would have been nice. I see Christian Watson and Jaden Reed both go to the Jordan Love drafter. That's a really solid team. Keep my eye on that one. Puka, Ayuk, Laporta, T. Higgins, Jaden Daniels. Keep going. Rashad White. I think at that point in the draft, that's fine. Personally, me, I'd take, Rashad White, Kamara. It's a toss-up. But then he gets Christian Watson and Jordan Love, so he's got that nice double stack for Jordan Love and the Packers. Takes Trey Benson as his RB2. That's probably his biggest downfall so far. It's still an upside pick. He can backfill running back and be just fine. But, James Conner goes 102. You take Trey Benson at 104. You feel like you're missing out a little bit what the room's giving you. So Dak Prescott and Caleb Williams are the 2 quarterbacks that go after I take Jaden Daniels, first pick in the 9th round. I'm all for it though. Stacked up Jaden Daniels with Terry McLaurin. The only piece I'm missing, I need a skill position player or 2 or 3 on the Falcons, and there's just not any left that I'm super confident in. Algier could fit this team. Mooney always goes way before I have a chance to draft him, but I might have to keep an eye open for him a bit early. Rondale Moore with your last pick just doesn't feel like it's doing enough. If I could get 2 or 3 of those pieces I just mentioned, pretty much all of them, it's what it's going to take to really cement that Week 17 correlation with the quarterback that I selected where I did. I think we got plenty of picks in between there, though. We can figure out QB2 on this team. I've got a few guys in mind. The good thing about taking Hopkins and Lockett is that you can definitely get Levis and Geno super late in the draft. And you already know that, but at that point, you can just take them wherever. Just make sure you don't miss out on your QB2. Better to take them around early, in these rounds 14 plus. Just grab the quarterback you need. Make sure you get him. Of course, you can always push him, but when you're waiting that long on your QB2, like you should, it's a little bit riskier. I'm trying to figure out who's going to make sense with this pick. I don't think I want to go with Herbert or Lawrence. I love Mitchell here. He's a value pick. I'm taking another upside wide receiver. I can chill out on Chase Brown and Corum. Don't need them necessarily. So let's definitely go with Adonai Mitchell, the boss. And Josh Palmer is intriguing here. Should I just take Chase Brown and call it on that? I've already got 6 receivers. If I take Palmer at 7, it's a bit much. There's not any tight ends I like here that I want. I'm cool with going Chase Brown. The thing about Chase Brown, though, is I guess he fits all right with this team. I'm kind of lukewarm on that. I wish there was a tight end I could have taken already, because now I'm going with late tight end. Yeah, I mean, Chase Brown, a guy I was definitely on last year, coming out of Illinois. He showed that speed at the combine, size-speed combo, was productive in college. And, he had like he had a few flashy plays for the Bengals last year. Definitely an upside play. Definitely can afford taking a guy like that as my running back 4. So maybe this is the team for him, but I could see where you could be a little bit thinner at running back than I was and feel like you need to take Chase Brown. I feel like I was in a position there I could have taken Josh Palmer. I just would have been really done at wide receiver to that point, and it's still possible that I could build out around Hopkins and Lockett some kind of some like solo stacks with either Levis, Geno. Obviously, I've got Daniel Jones in my back pocket. That's what's cool about Malik Neighbors and Adonai Mitchell. They play each other in Week 17. And now I have 2 rookies, that one of which I've got a ton of draft capital in, my top wide receiver taken. And throwing him, it's kind of like you're doubling down on them, like that both those rookies can produce, and maybe it's a shootout in that game. It's a perfect storm. That covers me because it's after Mitchell goes, of course, Josh Downs, and I don't think Josh Downs is off the board yet. He's the last Colt I feel really confident in. I don't draft a ton of Jonathan Taylor. He goes in the first round in this draft. I still like a bunch of these receivers at least as much as Jonathan Taylor, if not more, with where I'm going in with the first, second round picks. It's just tough. Trevor Lawrence, Jared Goff are off the board. Not quarterbacks that I was really looking for. Yo, GM, what up, Meewad? How you doing, brother? Hope you're having a good night. Thanks for joining the chat, saying what's up in the stream. You already know what time it is. Drafting at Best Ball Mania 5 squad. And let's see, through 11 rounds, we've got a 1, 4, 6 build. Up in a few picks. Going super late on tight end. That's like the slight risk with this team. I think this team is pretty solid so far. 4 running backs that I really like. 6 receivers that can get me there. Just a little bit of rookie upside going on so far. 3 of my my picks and my top QB and top receiver. The more I think about it, this could be a super late Daniel Jones second QB. So I'm going to ride out Jaden Daniels the whole season. Maybe get a spike week or 2 from Daniel Jones. The only problem then is my floor is like super low at QB between Danny Dimes, who's going to put up 10 points. He's going to put up dimes for you. And then when he doesn't, put up huge games on his rushing numbers. And then Jaden Daniels, I think he's going to have, I hope he's going to have a good season. But with rookie QBs, there's always the chance that he's not throwing, averaging 2 touchdowns a game. I think the rushing upside actually is the counterpoint to that, is that his rushing upside provides a nice floor. And then with my last pick, I didn't take a receiver there. I was in a good position to take Palmer, Judy, double down on A.D. Mitchell and Josh Downs. That would have been kind of cool. I like Jalen Polk. I did see the beat on Polk today at New England's Monday practice. He caught 2 touchdown passes apparently. Apparently he caught everything that was thrown his way. That's what the beat was saying on Polk. And there we go. The drafter who ended up with Palmer goes Herbert at a great value. I've got Aaron Jones. I could take Musgrave here. I think it's fine. Musgrave's a fine pick. Who else did I really want though? I said I was going to wait at wide receiver. I'll go Musgrave here. Could be a Justin Fields team, which is disgusting, but it's true. I've got Isaiah Pacheco. I could build out Freiermuth here or Roman Wilson. I've been waiting for this click though for a while, and I think I'm going to go ahead and pull the trigger on Tyler Algier. That might be my RB room. I could be done there with 5. It's pretty early to finish off the running backs. 100% definitely could have pushed Algier all the way to my next pick at the 14th round, but I've tried to do that before, and he doesn't make it back most times, so tiny reach on Algier there, but I get my bring back for my Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin stack. I feel good about that. Thanks for being in the chat, y'all. Thanks for chilling out here in the Fantasy Football Garage with me, drafting up this team. What do you think we should do next? Let me know if you think that Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones is enough and stop there with 2 QBs. Do I build out around the Titans and Will Levis, like Davis was suggesting he likes to do? I've kind of missed the boat on the Jaguars. The only reason I'm reluctant around that one. With Geno and the Seahawks, I could pull off Fant. I could pull off... I think Herbert is still on the board. There goes Darnell Mooney. Slight regret that I didn't go Mooney over Musgrave. I feel like I did need to go ahead and grab a tight end though before it gets too late. And then at the same time, I don't know if this is going to be a 7 or 8 wide receiver build. I think pretty solid chance I'm going to end up going 8 wide receivers, because if I truly do stop at the 5 running backs I've already got, then I'm going to have a position left over, and I feel like I don't have to go 3 tight end here or 3 QB, one or the other. So there's a Best Ball Mania 5 team. Let's do a quick recap. Jaden Daniels at QB. Drafting from the 1 spot. So I've got McCaffrey. Followed that up with Malik Neighbors and Devonta Smith. Came back around to Isaiah Pacheco. Took him right around ADP. So I'm starting off with packing a punch with Christian McCaffrey and Isaiah Pacheco. 2 of the best offenses. You grab a running back on good offenses, you're going to feel pretty good about that. Whoops. And finished out the running back room. Potentially could be done there. I got Aaron Jones, Chase Brown, Tyler Algier. Gives me a nice little bring back. Week 17 correlation with the Commanders and Atlanta Falcons. Wide receiver room. That's where it gets spicy. I take Terry McLaurin. Ended up getting Jaden Daniels on the way back. DeAndre Hopkins, Tyler Lockett, Adonai Mitchell. And then missed out on elite tight end. Had a chance to get George Kittle. Could have taken Dalton Kincaid over Pacheco, but I do like that Pacheco pick there. I just kind of regret not getting George Kittle. The other pick would have been nice was Brock Bowers. He didn't make it around. So that's where we're at. Probably going to take 2 more wide receivers. Dale says he usually drafts 3 quarterbacks right or wrong. I'm cool with that. The team that did the best for me last season, scored the most points, was a 3-5-7-3 build. And it was Jordan Love, who was my QB3. Actually, Deshaun Watson was my QB1. And so that ended up paying off big. Having taken 3 quarterbacks worked out for me. The position I'm starting to take, though, is around 2 versus 3 tight end. I'm starting to move in the direction that 2 tight end is much better than 3 tight end. And I've seen the arguments both sides. I know what the data shows from Best Ball Mania 3 at least. 3 tight end can, of course, be good for advance rates and can potentially pay off in the finals. I typically do go elite tight end, but even when I'm not getting elite tight end, I'm going to go 2 tight end and hope that one of the tight ends that I take, one of those 2, ends up being a top 5 tight end for the season. They don't have to be like a career guy, but they could just have one of the best year of their career. Think about Robert Tonyan when he maxed out on 10 TDs with Aaron Rodgers back in the day. 1 year pop. Just want to hope you land that guy, which is hard to do. But when you're going to beat the elite tight ends, you're going to have to do it at a huge advantage in the value of where you got that player. So getting these later tight ends, I think it's just you're kind of diluting your bet if you take 3 of them. Just take 2 and hope one of them is really good. Speaking of tight ends, quick look. I didn't take Chris Godwin, so I don't really have a way to go forward with Baker Mayfield. I'm going to take Ben Sinnott here, and I'm going to be done at tight end, unless it works out later with Geno correlation stacking like that kind of situation. We already know there's no Falcons here to go with. I could go with Luke McCaffrey, and I think I will. I don't care about Troy Franklin so much. Javon Baker's fine. I'm not all aboard Javon Baker though. Just one last look. I'm gonna push Geno and Levis and all of the QBs. I don't feel committed to a running back here, considering I'm pretty solid with the 5 I have. I think I'll just wrap up with those 5. Yeah, Dale's saying he prefers the 3 QBs because of bye weeks and injuries. I would 100% agree with that. And that's a good reason. It gives you a higher floor. It's more consistent scoring throughout your season to advance out of your pod. And if you think about it, generally, like 50% of the time, your QB is going to score the most points out of any player on your squad that week. I don't know if that's the real numbers. I'm just kind of throwing out how it feels vibes based. But, sure, McCaffrey can put up 40 points. Jaden Daniels could put up 20 to 28 points. Probably at a high enough rate that he hits the top scoring player in your lineup, like, I don't know, a couple times a year is what I'm trying to say. But I can see how going 2 QB really works if you take an elite quarterback. I think it's when you have a reliance on kind of those middle tier pocket passers or the late quarterbacks who either have age, injury concern, or like job security concern. That's when it's like sketchier to take 2, and why you might go 3. With Jaden Daniels, though, me taking him in the 9th round, taking Jaden Daniels that early, I'm making a huge bet on him. I'm saying that he's going to be an elite quarterback. He's going to finish as like a top 5 QB in scoring. He's going to have an RG3 type of rookie season. That's why I took him over Dak Prescott and Caleb Williams. And then, yeah, we're just kind of going all out with the Commanders with the Washington, what is that, triple stack I've got going on. The only player I didn't take was Jahan Dotson, but I've got Ben Sinnott, Luke McCaffrey, Terry McLaurin. I like that build, that kind of onslaught build that it's called, when you take a quarterback and just keep taking his skill position players, keep taking the week 17 game stacked players. So unfortunately, I don't have a great way to keep to move on with drafting more Falcons. They're pretty much all dried up. Let me do one more little search though. Obviously Rondale Moore. After that, what do you go, Casey Washington? I've seen Casey Washington get drafted, but I'm not going to do it. Even Rondale Moore is pretty thin. QB2 is just going to be is what it is. I've got a few guys late in mind. I've already named Levis and Geno, but that's not really who I want. And did Geno just go? Yeah, Geno just went. I'll flip over to the board. Baker Mayfield, I think, is a fine pick this late. After this kind of my gauge for QBs. After you see Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, and Baker Mayfield off the board, that's when it's free range to take any of the remaining QBs with any of your remaining picks, with some discretion. But think about it. The difference between having the opportunity to pick at the beginning or end of the 16th, 17th round, it's separated by 12 picks, but there's only so many draftable QBs left. 6 left. And so if you're at any given point 12 picks away from your next draft pick and you only have one QB like I do at this point, you don't really want to push it too far, especially with the corner. I'm much more willing to just take the guy I need. Not Bryce Young. That's not who I was thinking. Like I said, I'm pretty good with the 2 tight ends I've got. Luke Musgrave, Ben Sinnott going late on the tight ends. See what Dale's saying. On the Bills team, because if no Allen, I would lose anyways. Exactly. Yeah, I didn't take 3 quarterbacks on your Josh Allen team. I like Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts with any QB you can get as late as possible that you're pretty confident is going to at least have a starting job during weeks 15, 16, 17. Because the only benefit that QB2 is going to give you is if for some reason you need to advance through in a week where that top elite quarterback isn't the guy. This could be interesting. Now I'm kind of thinking I go Daniel Jones and McCarthy. Take both. Build out 3. I was talking a lot about 2 QB here, but I kind of like that. I don't really know what other picks I love here. Let me get McCarthy. And then think about this pick, 17. I think I do go Daniel Jones here. Because I've already got Neighbors. That's what was kind of did it for me, is I've already got Neighbors. Adonai Mitchell. It's set up for me. Bummer no Lions on this team, but the Lions go so fast. If you don't get them on, you're never going to get Christian McCaffrey with them on Raw. You're reaching if you take El Porta with him. So I'm not going to worry too much about that. I think this is fun. Rushing upside at each of the QBs I drafted. I don't have, per se, the best pass catcher set up with McCarthy, considering I've only got Aaron Jones. I do have a little team-level correlation there going on with Luke Musgrave as the bring-back, so it's better than nothing. But I felt like taking McCarthy and Jones. Could have gone with Jones as it was. I don't really feel like taking another running back is the thing, though. And then I don't want to take too many wide receivers either, because I do feel pretty good about these wideouts, that just taking one more should be fine. Build out a 3-5-8-2 build. I like taking a wide receiver with the very last pick. There's always guys you can mix it up with there. I feel like once you get to the 18th round, yo, what up, Bindles? How you doing tonight, my man? Hope you're having a fantastic evening. Thanks for saying what's up in the chat, for joining the stream. You already know what time it is. It's a Best Ball Mania 5 draft, and we're straight vibing in here. Just talking about the QB situation going on. You know, to go 2 QB or to go 3 QB. Dale slightly convinced me there to go ahead and take 3 QB. I was on the fence. I was kind of soapboxing about Jaden Daniels being good enough to take him alone, and then take like a McCarthy or a Daniel Jones as a QB2. But when it came down to it, I think for this team, definitely didn't need another running back. Didn't feel like I had to take another tight end. And gonna see who comes back around at the wideout position. Khalif Raymond's a guy. I said there weren't any Lions left to take, but Raymond could be him. It's just not a really fun pick. Slayton could be all right now that I've got Jones. I'm making a bet on Neighbor, so Slayton's not a must. And I don't think Daniel Jones gets what's his real ceiling case for passing volume, passing touchdowns. What are the odds it's going to split it up between these two guys? But it is fun to have more pieces around that Giants and Colts game in Week 17 that I've already made a huge bet on by taking Neighbors. So even then, I think Slayton kind of, I'm not saying I need Slayton to have a great season. I want Neighbors to have the great season. And then for some reason, if Daniel Jones is the guy that is one of the top scoring QBs in any given a playoff week to help me advance, there is some chance that it could be Slayton or it could be a Wandale week over Neighbors. But fingers crossed, I guess. We'll see if he comes back around. Otherwise, I'm just hoping Neighbors can completely smash home run 2-3 weeks in a row. Let's flip back to the board. Got one last pick to make in this Best Ball Mania 5 draft. Khalif Raymond goes to the drafter in the 6th spot who had Purdy, and I think he had Ayuk too, right? Was he the one who had Amon-Ra? No, he was the one who took Debo. That's fine though. I felt like was kind of forcing it to go with Khalif Raymond there. Dang, Jalen McMillions is off the board. He's one of my favorite fun round 18 wide receiver clicks to go with. Hyatt or Slayton? I thought I heard a rumor that Hyatt didn't know the playbook last season. Strikes me as odd, kind of surprising from a former Biletnikoff winner in college. At the same time, he was in that Tennessee offense, slinging the ball with the spread offense. Maybe he didn't have to know the plays. He just was running routes, whatever he thought was good and getting open. So I think Slayton's kind of the pick here. Not convinced on, who could be the pick though? Is it a Theo Johnson draft? Before any more news comes out about him, is that the fun pick? I said I was going to go 2 tight end. Could take Theo Johnson. Spice it up a little bit. One more rookie bet on I'm going to do that. That kind of sounds fun. I literally was talking the entire draft about how I was going to go 2 QB and 2 tight end. And then what do? A 3-5-7-3 build. Go figure. I think it ends up all right, though. Jaden Daniels, JJ McCarthy, Daniel Jones in the QB room. Vendels, my man, says, holy fuck, this dude is chill. Christian McCaffrey, Isaiah Pacheco, Aaron Jones, Chase Brown, Tyler Algier. I love that. I love that running back room. You can't, anytime you have Pacheco, McCaffrey, as I was saying, 2 running backs on 2 of the highest scoring offenses. Throw in an Aaron Jones for even more ceiling. Ebb and flow. Yeah, you got to ebb and flow with these drafts. Make it work. Try not to get too bent out of shape. I try not to tilt too much when I get snapped on QB or if I end up going down a different path I wasn't expecting. The one thing I am trying to focus on to be better about versus last season is to reflect on my drafts a little bit more, which picks I'm making maybe too often, which players I'm kind of finding myself into that natural groove of wanting to click every time. Mitchell's kind of that guy for me right now. So is Jaden Daniels. And then Daniel Jones has been a QB I've been taking a lot of all summer. Musgrave's another guy I like. And then you could argue that Sennett is too expensive here at this price, but I'm just willing to take him anytime it makes sense with Jaden Daniels. And I'm drafting a lot of Jalen Daniels. So Jaden Daniels with Terry McLaurin. I've got Devonta Smith, just a fun pick. Malik Neighbors with Danny Dimes. Hopkins, Lockett, Adonai Mitchell, Luke McCaffrey. Like I said, tight ends, Musgrave, Sennett, and Theo Johnson. So I did get my rookie fix in. Let's count it up. Rookies and sophomores, I've got 2 in my QB room. I've got a sophomore with Chase Brown, Neighbors, Mitchell, McCaffrey, Musgrave, Sennett, Theo Johnson. We're good. By my count, that's 9 rookies and sophomores. We're right in the sweet spot. That window, you want to have at least 6, potentially no more than 10 rookies and sophomores. Protect your floor. Don't take too many of these guys, but go for ceiling. Make sure you got a few of them. That's how I like to play it. one more? I think so. Let's do one more poodle. I want to see how full it is. So that wraps up my Best Ball Mania draft for the day. Keeping a steady pace on BBM 5. Plan to max it this year for the first time. Did 90 BBM entries last season and had a lot of fun, so I'm gonna run it back and max it out this time. The poodle is pretty damn full, and it's been open
Soldier boy, tell.
for what, 3 days? Waiting for 7 more. If you're in the chat and you want to draft a poodle with me, I'm gonna go fill up my water. Join the room if you want. Let's draft this one. Just a little behind the scenes for y'all. I don't know, haven't labeled my scenes yet. So I'm pretty much just clicking at random, hoping it works out. What I'm displaying on screen is what I'm supposed to be showing. Okay, who's in the room? Who made it in? The Samwise, I recognize that name. The Dan Analyzer, that's a cool name. Elastigirl, that's a fun one. I Like Kitties, the 101. These are the names that, like, I Like Kitties, that's a clever name. That's like subtly funny. Those are the kind of names I want to see taken down a weekly winners, getting announced, retweeted by the official Underdog account. I saw a name in a draft today in one of my other poodles. I was double tabling the poodle earlier. Was watching Bindles actually, and Bindles and Neil were streaming, so I was doing some poodles just a bit earlier, and the guy's username was Kiss My Third Leg. And I was like, how do you make that your Underdog username, and you're entering these tournaments trying to win, I don't know, potentially millions of dollars? Like, that's what you want to be known for? Lowbrow. Either be the username you are across all your things. Pick something really cleverly or subtly funny, I think is the way to go. Or inside joke, a meme. I think it's also funny when people just put like their name and like their last initial and then like the year they were born. That always cracks me up. I like to think that, at least. So when I look at the board, I'm picking in the 11th spot in this poodle. Pretty normal start, except the fact that CB Lamb drops to the 104 to Elastigirl. So we've got Red X, born in 1992. Husky 85. He was born in 85. Dalt D44. He's the dinosaur in the room. He's born in 1944. That makes him almost 80. Me in the 11th spot. I'm pumped to see what's gonna fall to me at 11. We'll see if it's kind of a standard start. What could we do here? It's one of our last fast poodles, I think, because by the time I wake up tomorrow, it's going to be so close to full, I'm just going to have to do slow drafts for the rest of them to max it out. Dale says he also likes Pacheco. Yeah, I need to get a little bit more Pacheco. He's a good pick. Do I do something fun with this one? drafting at the 11th spot, you really get a lot of options. You can completely reach across the 3rd round and take a player who goes much, much later, but then it lines up in a unique way with your 1, 2, 3 picks. I feel like if you take a wide receiver with each of your first 3 picks, you get a little creative by maybe reaching to the end of the 3rd round and bringing a guy who usually goes maybe pick. What am I saying? I'm thinking of I'm thinking of it backwards. I guess I'm thinking of rounds. I'm thinking of it as round 4 and 5. Where in round 5, you could pull someone. No, I am thinking of it right. Am I? No, it's round 4. Round 4 is the one I'm thinking of. So what I'm saying is, in round 4, because you have the 2nd overall pick there, that's when you can pull a player who usually goes at the 4 or 5 turn, bring him up to that 4th pick, take either 4 wide receivers and or a do I take Gibbs though? I like Nico a lot with AJ Brown. It's a fun start. I think Gibbs though, it's hard to pass on Gibbs. I really like Gibbs. AJ Brown Gibbs. But that 4th round pick, pulling a player forward, going with 4 wide receivers or 3 wide receivers and a tight end through the first 4 picks, kind of on this back end. It's just a way to get creative. When a time capsule draft like this, where it's going to close well before the end of the season, sometimes you just want to take a bit more of a unique start. Not too crazy, like don't be reaching all over the place, but just to get something that doesn't fall on the board so often, kind of differentiates you from all the other AJ Brown, Jamar Gibbs starts, in my case. But like I'm saying, here, the guy who took Drake London, Mike Evans, he actually is kind of doing that. So he went ahead and took Mike Evans. I was focused on my 2nd pick, so I didn't notice right away that Mike Evans went there, the 1st pick in the 2nd round. So the draft from the 12 spot kind of does the tactic I was describing with his 2nd overall pick. He's just trying to get a little bit more unique. I think with your 2nd overall pick, it's a little bit too cute, but it can still work out. Mike Evans is solid. What would be really weird and disgusting, though, for that drafter is to see in a room that potentially Drake London and Mike Evans both fell to the 2-3 turn, and then the drafter who has CMC goes like CMC, Drake London, Mike Evans, then your Drake London, Mike Evans from the 12-13 spots essentially completely dead. Has 0 chance of ever beating out the team that also has Christian McCaffrey. Devonta Smith goes with the last pick in the 2nd round. He continues to rise. I think that's about right. Smith, typically in my mind, I think of Smith and Waddle as being pretty equivalent. Maybe just a slight upside to Waddle's position, being on the Dolphins, having more of a pure pocket passer in Tua. Bringing over Jalen Hurts. So yeah, the biggest surprise so far, Mike Evans goes 13th overall. It's not that crazy though. Curious to see what he's going to build out around Drake London and Mike Evans, because Kirk Cousins is fine. Baker Mayfield is fine. I guess Bryce Young is not so fine, and then I guess he could still go with Jaden Daniels. So maybe it'd be a sick Jaden Daniels team. That's a fun way to play Jaden too. I've been playing him more with Terry McLaurin, but I do want to sprinkle in some Drake London, Bijan Robinson, or Kyle Pitts. Not all in the same team necessarily, but anytime you pick one of those top Falcons guys, it becomes really fun to end up taking Jaden Daniels either instead of Kirk Cousins, or you can take them together. Cooper Kupp seems like he's been rising up boards. I just noticed him going higher and higher. He goes pick 28 here. And I'm almost up with my third pick. Let's see what we got. Tank Dell. Come on, Tank Dell. I haven't gotten Tank in so many drafts. It's driving me nuts. Sweet. Just highlighting all the players I like here. It's kind of weird to... It's weird to go Jalen Hurts over Josh Allen. It's really weird. I knew I was going to go Tank Dell there, but I was just thinking about my next pick and what this guy's going to do. Zay Flowers, T. Higgins, solid picks. The question is, do I take Derrick Henry at a slight value, line him up with Gibbs, feel really good about my start? Do I take Jalen Hurts, commit to the Eagles this early on? Let's do it. It's just a poodle. I'm going to go ahead and take the first QB off the board, Jalen Hurts. And I'm making a bet with him and A.J. Brown. The sucky part is I don't love the whole situation when you're drafting a lot of Eagles and you have to go get Cowboys. It feels like so many people are willing to take these Cowboys, tight end, running backs, and even Brandon Cooks. On any given team, you'll see drafters take all those players, and so you kind of have to take them at or a little bit above ADP if you want to game stack that Week 17 matchup between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys. It's very expensive up front. Smith goes in round 2 now. I get Brown in round 1, but also, of course, Saquon usually goes in round 2 as well. So there's not a whole lot more you can do once you go and commit to Jalen Hurts. It's really just those Cowboys you're looking for. I'm lucky I didn't pass Josh Allen too far along. He still slid a bit in this room. He goes to the drafter who gets Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, Steph Diggs, and then Josh Allen with their first 4 picks. That's pretty sick. And I'd say there's a high likelihood they're going to get Dalton Kincaid on the way back because Trey McBride lasted all the way to pick 46. And there's a lot of drafts where I'm looking at Trey McBride at pick 39, 40 and considering them around that. So tight ends are kind of sliding. Laporta, Kelsey go in range, maybe a little bit early. Who's your favorite pick in the 5th round? My next pick is the second to last pick in the 5th round. Usually around there, pick 59. I'm looking towards which elite tight ends might still be available. I'm trying to see if a guy like Terry McLaurin, who goes off at the 5-1, is going to still be there. Catch a falling receiver that I think should go to the front end of the 5th round, at the back end of the 5th round. I think that's probably my highest. I mean, Travis Etienne, wow, making it all the way to pick 51. Mark Andrews off the board. We know that Dalton Kincaid is going to fall to the Josh Allen drafter now because this is the guy on the clock took Laporta already. Fat chance he goes Kincaid. We gifted Josh Allen and Dalton Kincaid to a drafter who's got 3 pretty elite wide receivers to start. So a 0 RB build out with Josh Allen and Dalton Kincaid. That's sick.
Soldier boy, tell.
It's a good way to start the draft. Probably just a quick glance around the room. It's probably the draft I like best so far. Who do y'all like here with this pick, 59? This is where I look for Xavier Worthy. Surprise, surprise. Dang. Anthony Richardson makes it back to me. And I was between passing on Jalen Hurts to take Derrick Henry. I don't have a ton of pits, so kind of becomes a fun place to consider taking him. Mixing those off the board. It's a good, decent pick. Could be a dude on the way back. Could be Kittle. Yeah, I'm going to go with Xavier Worthy here. At least for now. Usually when X is my wide receiver 3, I'm in a position where I need to play a little bit of catch up. I really took one main detour to get Jalen Hurts off the board. Kyle Pitts goes. I'm feeling less like I want to take another wide receiver here, and even, to get my 4th wide receiver, I feel like I do want to go ahead and take Kittle over Odunze here. Kind of sucks that both Anthony Richardson and Stroud fell to me with this pick, because I'd love to take both of those guys here. But I've already committed to Jalen Hurts. I'm going to go Kittle, which gives me the opportunity to have the best quarterback, the best running back, let's just say the best tight end, and a combo of wide receivers that is good enough to get you there. That's what I've built out with my first 6 picks. Fingers crossed that a wide receiver worth drafting falls to pick 83. That's the last receiver I usually like to get in round 7. It's typically going in like the pick 78 to 80 range. So it's going to get thin at receiver. Might have to figure something out between that QB2 that we still have to draft and how we can line up maybe some receivers that make a little bit more sense in the context of having a late round QB2 to pair up with Jalen Hurts. We were talking about this last draft, so this is a poodle. The last draft I did just before we started this one, Best Ball Mania 5, and was talking a little bit about how when you take Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts as your top quarterback, you're making that big bet on them, investing a ton of draft capital in that player, then your QB2 can really be anyone, and they can give you a 0 during your elite QB's bye week. It shouldn't really matter. If that's the QB you needed during the regular season, or is good enough to pay off where you drafted them, then you're going to advance out of your pod with that quarterback most of the time. And then what your QB2 is really doing is giving you a small opportunity for leverage against all of the other, in my case, Jalen Hurts drafters in the playoff weeks 15, 16, 17. Imagine Jalen Hurts randomly sits a game in week 15 or 16. That's the opportunity for that QB2 you drafted to step up and have a good enough week to get you through your pod, which seems like a crazy thing, but that's kind of like the only value a QB2 is going to bring to this squad, which all that to say, it's a very rare situation that would happen, which lends itself to being like, okay, I can just kind of punt QB2 because it's a rare situation. They're going to really provide a lot of value for this team. If I can correlate them well, then it could really pay off in a playoff week to give me leverage against other Jalen Hurts teams. So I'm describing is like if you had Josh Allen last year and you had Bryce Young. I'm not saying Josh Allen that got hurt during the playoffs or anything, but that's kind of like the draft capital difference between my QB1 and my QB2 that I'd like to have. Bryce Young's going round 17 last year. You could get him in round 16, 17, 18. All of those receivers that I was claiming to like in the 7th round are now off the board, gone. Usually if Kamara goes a bit earlier, if Aaron Jones goes a bit earlier, it could push some of these receivers down to the back of the 7th round. Didn't get so lucky. David Montgomery's another one of those guys who can do that. Open a few picks. Let's highlight some names. Okay, so Aaron Jones, slightly interesting. We can build out a bet on JJ McCarthy late. I like Jonathan Brooks a lot. It's hard to pass up Aaron Jones though in this spot, or Brooks. Warren could be a cool pick, or Ramondre. Jake Ferguson. We took Kittle. I'm gonna stick with Kittle. I don't know. Ferguson seems like a lot of draft capital to go with at tight end this early. Way too much for my liking. Do I want Brooks though, or do I want Aaron Jones? I'm fine with Aaron Jones. Cortland Sutton is super undervalued. 86 is not too early to go with Cortland Sutton. Of course, he's gonna probably be there. JB goes. Ramondre Stevenson goes. I had to do it. I don't need Jake Ferguson on this team. It's way too early to spend up for my tight end 2. I felt good about the Kittle pick, playing off Jahmyr Gibbs, and there's a slight chance that if Purdy falls really far past ADP, I'm talking pick. Which pick would that be for me? It's pick 131. Then I could snag Purdy. I went with Cortland Sutton. I think he is a decent pick in the 9th round. What's his ADP right now? Oh, at 93. I guess maybe he's risen a little bit. But I think he's a really decent pick in the 9th round if he falls. This is a room where the running backs were kind of sticking around, and particularly where we were, I guess the wide receivers generally do go in this range. It's not that weird. But Cortland Sutton is going to be one of those island receivers just around a sea of green and blue. It doesn't make you feel great when you take the last. Well, maybe it does make you feel. Now that I say it, you kind of do want to take wide receivers or skill position players at the end of a tier, right before a break, a fall off, and that I think is what you see to some extent. I like Adonai Mitchell, so I kind of like Josh Palmer too. But I think, yeah. You can see there's a run on running backs, tight ends, and quarterbacks in rounds 8 and 9. Something I talk about pretty frequently on stream when I'm drafting. So it's just it's kind of the zone this year where if you put yourself in a position that your team should be taking a running back, one of these QBs that lines up with your squad, it's a really good spot to do it. Take advantage of that. Be in a position where you have enough wide receivers through round 7 and 8, so you can take advantage of it. I was kind of on the borderline there, really needing to get that 4th wide receiver. It makes me take Cortland Sutton a bit early, but when you think about it, both Aaron Jones and Cortland Sutton give me a potential team that I can I can continue to draft players from that has a QB that goes pretty late. So just another consideration when all of the other players I had drafted up to this point, barring Kittle, all the pass catchers, their QBs are already off the board. I don't know if Goff and Gibbs is what I need on this team. Could kind of work out though if Goff, like I said, and like about Purdy, if they fall really, really far down the board, pull the trigger, just bet on that team to exceed expectations. Maybe they put up a ton of points across the season, and having some pieces, important pieces of that offense can help you out, help you advance, and be there's always those teams. Last year it was the 49ers, maybe it was the Dolphins, just high scoring teams that you're going to want a piece of. Any skill position player, you'd like to have a guy on that team. Usually we say that about the Chiefs. It's a little bit harder to pin down if you're not a believer in Xavier Worthy or Travis Kelce this season. You're pretty confused on what to do with a Chiefs player. So maybe you're not taking a lot of Chiefs players. I think that's a big mistake. I'm also interested in Rashee Rice, where he's going. I think, let's see where he went in this draft. He went pick 80. I'm cool with taking Rashee Rice in this kind of same grouping back here at the beginning of the 7th round. And look at that. Dak falls to 105. What is going on with the CeeDee Lamb drafter who took CeeDee Lamb from the 4 spot and then committed to Lamar and Mark Andrews? I guess they didn't care about Dak Prescott. To me, it's just weird if you have CeeDee Lamb and you don't have Dak Prescott. It's kind of a strange choice. Mitchell's there. Could go Robinson. Could go Bowers. Bowers is a fun selection. I'm going to go Mitchell. Now I feel solid at wide receiver. Yeah, Bindle's saying to go backdoor Bo Nix on this one. It's a pretty good idea. I think that could work out. I like Brock Bowers. I want to take him. He never makes it this far in drafts. Why is this happening in a poodle? Why couldn't this be the BBM I just drafted? I don't need Dallas Goedert. I don't think you need Goddard to win with Hurts, especially when I've got A.J. Brown. Just stick with that. Solo stack Jalen Hurts. Maybe go Will Shipley really late. I haven't heard much about Shipley's name lately, but he was one of those guys coming out of college at Clemson people were talking about. But how do you pass up on Bowers 9-10 picks past ADP, even with Kittle? I think that's... I was talking about this too on the last draft we were just in. Like, Bowers can be that leverage against the other elite tight ends, where either if you don't get an elite tight end, you really might want Bowers. And even if you do have an elite tight end, you still might want Bowers in this team. You're committing a ton of draft capital to the tight end position, which is not ideal. You don't want them scoring your flex position on any given week. You want them to stick to that tight end spot. But I can say that getting George Kittle kind of the back end of the elite tight end tier, and then reaching for, not reaching, but Brock Bowers fell to me from where he's usually getting drafted, but then reaching up for a second tight end, a little bit ahead of where I was saying I'd want to take one, which is like rounds 14-ish and later. It's spinning up a lot, but I think it's worth it here. Just looking at my team, I went
Soldier Boy, tell.
Went Jamar Gibbs with the first pick, with the second pick. Took A.J. Brown with the first pick. Tank Dell, Jalen Hurts, so we got the Eagle stack going on. Xavier Worthy's my wide receiver 3. I typically like him as my wide receiver 4. But grabbed the last elite tight end in George Kittle, making a play with the 49ers and the Lions. I think that's a fun game to be a part of. Aaron Jones, I draft him way too often, but look, he's going pick 83. It's like, what do you expect me to do? Reached a bit on Cortland Sutton. We're going to be trying to backdoor this Bo Nix pick. Comes all the way back around, and I slightly just barely miss out on Josh Palmer, who I would definitely take it to 107. I think it's a great pick there. Instead, my guy in this range, in this 9-10 turn, and then kind of all the way through the 10th round, my guy that I'm flag planting on is Adonai Mitchell. I think he's a guy. He's a lot of fun to watch. He's a red zone threat. He's an end zone machine. He levitates when he jumps and he leaps in the end zone. He can extend. He's kind of got that levitation that like an MJ had, like Michael Jordan from the free throw line. He just keeps floating through the air. Pass sort of over his head by inches. Quinn Ewers connects on that pass. Texas beats Washington with 3 seconds left. Last play of the game. Right over Adonai Mitchell's head. So could have rewritten history with a catch. Would have been Texas playing Michigan for the national championship last year, college football. And if that happens, Adonai Mitchell gets all of the highlight reels. He would be going where like Brian Thomas is going. Maybe landing spot, plays into that as well. But no, I think didn't always put up the numbers in college, but what he did put up was he put up touchdowns in the big games that mattered against Alabama. When he was playing for Georgia, he's putting up TDs, multiple TD games in semifinals and the finals of college football in the highest level of competition. He comes to Texas, he transfers from Georgia, and what's he do? Has a great year next to Xavier Worthy, literally the fastest man in NFL history. You got Worthy, you got Mitchell. I'm high on both of them. I mean, a little bit of Texas love from my Longhorns, but fun receivers. Let me know who you're drafting, Xavier Worthy or Adonai Mitchell. What's your exposure on them? I'm pretty high on both. I'm slowly but surely getting my Adonai Mitchell up. Xavier Worthy I've been consistently on, and he was getting steamed up to the beginning of the 5th round. I was starting to pump the brakes. I think the back end of the 5th round, I mean, it's the same round, so it's not that different, but you want him to be your wide receiver 4 if you can get away with it. Wide receiver 3 feels a little bit just riskier from a 4-play perspective, and then what happens when Rashee Rice comes back eventually. At the end of the day, talent wins out. I'm still betting on Xavier Worthy. Josh Downs right here. Could have had Anthony Richardson and then A.D. Mitchell and Josh Downs all the way there. I guess I still do need wide receivers, so I could go Downs here. Don't have any Giants. Could go Eckler. I'm not sure if I would take Dowdle over Eckler. Just like say the names out loud. Austin Eckler or Rico Dowdle. I think that answers that, even with the Eagles stack. But now that he's still there on the board, pick 134. Who should I take here? Should I go Burton here? Burton or Downs? Take Downs. Almost took Burton, just it's a poodle, so kind of coin flip it. Taking Josh Downs. I wish they put his player picture up because it makes him look like he's a rookie. But Josh Downs played in the league last year. Come on, underdog. Gives me a chance if I mess up on Bo Nix, if he gets taken before I can select Bo Nix really late, gives me a slight a chance of going with Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones, who potentially is one of the only guys that could outscore Jalen Hurts when Jalen Hurts isn't having a bad week. Just, is Daniel Jones going to be playing in week 17? But do I need him in week 17? Maybe I just need him in week 5. Let's go to the board. We've stayed balanced. Look at that. I get Mitchell at 107. I take Downs at 134. Some people say they like Josh Downs head-to-head over Adonai Mitchell. I get that, but then where do you stand on Devontae Walker, who people are saying Devontae Walker is the better Tar Heel wide receiver. So yeah, where does that leave you in that situation? Is Devontae Walker like extremely undervalued? I've been taking them. It's Devontae Walker and Jalen McMillan. There's no secret, but those are the two guys that I'm looking at with a late pick in the 17th round. If they're there in the 18th round, why not? They could pretty much fit on any team if you put yourself in a position to be able to select your final wideout with your last pick. Darnell Mooney, I'm telling you, he always goes at ADP. I've never seen Darnell Mooney fall past ADP. I think the band of the selection on Darnell Mooney, it's like between 144 and 146. He never makes it past there. I don't know what that says about the wide receivers in this range. People get kind of bored of taking the rookies in this range. I mean, I think Jalen Polk is appropriately priced here. People get bored of taking Xavier Legette, a first-round pick, a second-round pick. It was Xavier Legette. He was a first or second, either the end of the first or the beginning of the second. I honestly can't remember, but I know the Panthers pick at the top of the draft, so it must have been second round, right? Getting tired of picking Jermaine Burton. I almost took Jermaine Burton. I didn't think he'd fall all the way back around. Troy Franklin goes, but I'm not concerned. Did Marvin Mims go? He did not go yet. If I'm really going to stack up Bo Nix in this potential build, which I still could, I could go with just Cortland Sutton, but at the same time, I'm feeling pretty good at tight end. I'm never really considering drafting Greg Dulcich at this time. So Marvin Mims is a fun way to play to get another receiver, another pass catcher on this team to go with that QB late. I've got a little bit of bye week 14 issue, so that still comes into consideration here. Do I go running back? Could take Ty Chandler and really take over that Minnesota backfield. Yeah. I think that's the pick that I wanted. Aaron Jones, Ty Chandler. That's the 1-2 punch. I'm not really afraid to take drafting 2 running backs from the same team. Maybe could have pushed him there to my next pick, but Mims is still there. Question is, do I go back to running back in this range? Because running back floor is about to fall out from beneath our feet. At pick 179, it's slim pickings. Mims or Jaleel? Mims or Jaleel? Mims or Jaleel? Jaleel? Let's go Jaleel McLaughlin. I wanted to take Mims, but for some reason I didn't want to commit to wide receiver there. I guess it still would have been a good pick, considering I've only got 6 wideouts. I got a 1-5-6-2 build through 14 rounds. I could be done at running back here. The funny thing is, I was like, oh shoot, I've got a week 14 bye issue at wide receiver, but then I draft a running back who also has a week 14 bye on the exact same team. I'm not even fully convinced that Jaleel McLaughlin is a good pick there, or a good pick in general. But could be fun to build this out around Bo Nix. Keep taking Denver players that are potentially undervalued. I do tend to think, though, that the Denver team is not going to be that good. What Cincy players are left? I don't think there's any Cincinnati players left that I'd want to draft. Definitely not Kasicki, and Yoshivas is kind of a wild super late dart throw with no ADP, so missed the train there. Not exactly going to have a bring back if I do end up going with Bo Nix, which makes me think I could be finishing this out instead with Danny Dimes, throwing in a late Slayton or a Hyatt, or maybe both. Or even, do I go Theo Johnson in back-to-back drafts just after one blurb pops up on him from practices on Mondays that he might be competing for the starting job? I was convinced it was going to be Mr. Biceps, Danny Bellinger, as that starting tight end for the Giants. I knew Waller would be retiring. I didn't know, but I felt like I knew. So I even took a few Bellingers. I was talking about this recently on stream, that I had some Bellingers drafted on the big boards for sure, and I'm pretty sure I've got one or two on Best Ball Mania because I've been drafting way too much Danny Dimes. So it could go either way. But I don't think I have to go with a third tight end. I keep saying this. If I stop with these two tight ends, that means I'm going to have to take... And if I stop at 2 QBs, then I'm going to have to go with 6 running backs and 8 wide receivers, or I'd go 7 and 7. A little bit of a less common way to do it. Since I've already got literally 4 wide receivers out of my 6 with a week 14 bye, I pretty much need to avoid taking another skill position player with a week 14 bye. Not that it's the end of the world, don't come at me bye week bros, but if you just count up, you need 2 running backs, a flex, and then 3 wide receivers. So you need 6 positions filled in week 14. I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players competing for 6 spots at this point. Obviously still got 2 more skill position players to draft, and so at best I'm going to have 7. Maybe you throw in the tight end because Bowers is good enough to flex, but your worst nightmare is flexing tight ends too often because you didn't draft enough players in other positions, or you just are getting killed on bye weeks. Which pretty much means no Patriots, Ravens, no more Broncos, except for maybe Nix since he's a quarterback. I've got 4 picks left. It's pick 179. Could go Braylon Allen here. I'll just take Braylon Allen here.
Soldier boy, tell.
I'll get my first rookie running back on this squad. Man of the week. ADP's flying up. And we're not helping it. I'm drafting him everywhere right now. And then just thinking really, really long and hard about if Bo Nix, ADP 208, and Daniel Jones, ADP 202, are going to make it back around to me at pick 203. I say we risk it. Maybe one of them comes back. So if I'm going to set that up and then I end up having 1 pick after that, which could be that other wide receiver, I still need a wide receiver here. I go Jalen McMillan. Or I go Slayton early. I could wait on Slayton. Tolbert. Either Slayton, Tolbert, or Hyatt's going to be there with my last pick. That's about as far as I go. I'm not going to draft Paris Campbell again. Not this year. Through 16 rounds, the build is a 1-6-7-2. I've got Jalen Hurts, followed by at running back Jamar Gibbs, Aaron Jones, Austin Eckler, Ty Chandler. We've locked up the Minnesota Vikings running backfield. Jaleel McLaughlin, Braylon Allen, the rookie running back of the hour. At wide receiver, I've got a skinny stack with Jalen Hurts. Started off with A.J. Brown, my first pick. Tank Dell's my wide receiver 2. Xavier Worthy at wide receiver 3. Followed it up with Cortland Sutton. Slight reach there. Got Adonai Mitchell, where I usually take him. And then also ended up taking Josh Downs too, which is kind of why I'm either going to lean into... why I might also be leaning into Daniel Jones in this build out. I've already got 2 Colts players for my Week 17 bring back that I don't have to take Daniel Jones. I could go Bo Nix and then still take, Darius Slayton or Jalen Hyatt. Just play into that. Stacking up players in that game, even if I don't have the QB. But I think I'll give myself 2 outs there. Bo Nix or Danny Dimes. Worst case scenario, it's a Justin Fields team. It's just a poodle draft, so get a little crazy. You can take Justin Fields in the 18th round. I would take him in the 17th though, just because. Let's take a look. I'm not going to rely on this drafter in the 12th spot who only has Tua and Kirk, albeit got a great value on Tua, pick 133, and Kirk Cousins. It feels like just a fine spot. In 156, get a good value on Kirk Cousins too, but it's actually pretty sweet when you look at the fact that he pushed him that far when he took Drake London and Kyle Pitts. This was a team that started out with Mike Evans at the first pick in the 2nd round, so keeping tabs on how that team turned out. Just fine at wide receiver. Some kind of strange wide receiver selections after his first 4. He's banking on a late season comeback from Chubb, a breakout from JB, Jonathan Brooks. Overall solid squad, a little bit weak at QB just because while he's got the Kirk Cousins super stack, he doesn't have, as far as I can tell, any Dolphins to go with his Tua, which is always sad. Hate taking unstacked Tua.
I got lots of love for my crew that is.
Two picks left in this draft. Gonna wrap up this poodle, do a little team review, and send it out into space for the night. Tyler Boyd. We got a Tyler Boyd sighting. Round 17, 4th pick. Tyler Boyd was a guy going completely undrafted plenty of times before he signed with Tennessee. I remember seeing on Twitter, who was it? Somebody I follow on Twitter was kind of giving the bull case for Tyler Boyd that wherever he lands is going to be an ADP riser. I would argue his ADP has not risen enough and his landing spot was not good enough to really warrant having a big bag on him. I think he's just kind of like a throw-in guy. We're up next. Heads up. and it's dealer's choice. You can take Nix, take Daniel Jones, can't take them both. Go Nix. Tweet this one out to Bendels when I get it all wrapped up. Tell them we did it. We landed the plane, a Jalen Hurts skinny stack. Got a Bo Nix double stack. No, yeah, no. At least I got Cortland Sutton. Did get Jaleel McLaughlin. The big bummer on this one though. Either way you slice it, I don't have any Cowboys. I don't have any Bengals. So kind of a weird way that turned out. Because I was gonna go for Tolbert. He got drafted. Ended up taking Yoshivas. Just to throw it out there. Who cares? Sophomore breakout. Could be. What I'm betting on, I guess, is that T. Higgins gets traded. That he's not on the Bengals. That Jermaine Burton is just not having a huge breakout season. If anything, he's having kind of a season that's like a very likely outcome for him, which I know we're all high on Jermaine Burton right now. I'm definitely still drafting him, but with the draft capital that he has, historically for rookies going where he went, the odds of truly breaking out, making a fantasy impact, surprisingly low. A great landing spot, but what are the odds that Yoshivas is the wide receiver 2 or 3 in Cincinnati? I think it's contingent on T. Higgins trade. Yoshivas being the wide receiver 2 or 3 is actually kind of likely. I'm trying to do the math in my head. Like, Boyd is gone. In this scenario, T. Higgins is gone. It's Jamar Chase. It's Burton. It's Yoshivas. It's Charlie Jones. Is it Trenton Irwin? Irwin's turning 28. He doesn't have the same kind of breakout potential you could get with Yoshivas. So I could talk myself into this pick. It's fun to take just a dart throw in the 18th round on a correlated player. Does Yoshivas even have an ADP? Not really, no. So that's kind of a bummer. He really isn't going often enough to justify taking him, but with all the other Bengals drafted, whoops. That's the way it goes. This team review is going to end up being... Well, that's really annoying. My taskbar just moved. It's a Jalen Hurts and Bo Nix team. Skinny stacked AJ Brown. We just went through all this, so I'll make it quick. Went elite tight end at George Kittle, and I also got Brock Bowers, which feels pretty sweet on this team. Bo Nix stacked up with Cortland Sutton. Got the bring back with Yoshivas, which is just wild. Also got Jaleel McLaughlin making a team bet. I've got 2 Vikings running backs, Austin Eckler, Jahmyr Gibbs. I forgot that Purdy was the guy I was going to look into getting. He didn't really fall to us, so it didn't end up working out. But yeah, overall, it's a fun squad. Let's count up the rookies and sophomores one last time. Then we'll call it a night on this fine day of drafting. Bo Nix, 1 rookie. Gibbs, a sophomore, that's 2. McLaughlin, sophomore, 3. Allen, rookie, 4. Tank Dell, sophomore, 5. Xavier, 6. Mitchell, 7. Downs, 8. McMillan, 9. Yoshivas, 10. Brock Bowers, 11. So I don't know if we landed this plane. I think what it comes down to is potentially our weekly floor at wide receiver is just not high enough. If we toss out Bo Nix say that we're talking skill position players and that counts 6 to 10, doesn't matter for quarterbacks, which is kind of flubbing my own rule, but then we slide right in there with 10 and it works out. I think it's fine overall. It's just a poodle draft. It's a fun one to get in. It's probably one of my last fast poodles. I'm gonna have to if I want to max it, I'm gonna have to do slows the rest of the way. So that's how that draft goes. Thanks for chilling in the chat. Thanks for being here, being in the stream. Appreciate y'all. Hope you're having a fantastic start to your week. Have a great Monday night. I'll catch you next time in another live draft. And come draft with me next time or draft against me. Be doing plenty of best ball mania drafts all summer long right here on the Fantasy Football Garage. Appreciate y'all coming out, chilling, vibing. Catch you next time.
Soldier boy, tell.